Chris wanted to call it mouse droppings. I said, absolutely not. And that is probably the most important decision we made in the entire history of this podcast. Hey there, adventurers. Welcome to Let's Just Go podcast. I'm Kayla, and today is episode 100. Can I be real with you? I never thought we would make it this far. I say we because Chris was here, and I want to make sure he's being honored, even though he's no longer recording with me. But it feels like I started this with him yesterday, and now here we are 100 episodes later. And I want to take today to just sort of talk through the story of how this podcast started, because it was just two friends that wanted to talk about travel, and here's where we are now. But honestly, I mean, I've got notes because I want to make sure that I get the story right. Because here's the thing about me. I am neurodivergent and I will immediately forget something. So if it's not written down, I won't remember, which actually is the sort of like how this idea came to be. Chris and I would casually be like, we should start a podcast. We should start a podcast for at least a year, if not longer. It was like, hey, wouldn't it be fun if we had a podcast? Oh my gosh, a podcast would be so fun. Or like we'd have conversations and be like, this would make a great podcast. But we are both neurodivergent. And that meant while we thought we had great ideas, actually getting things started, much easier said than done. So we were like, let's do it. We're going to do it. Come on. We got this. And then we were like, what should we call it? And I'm not good at naming things. I know that. There's a reason that my cats don't have very exciting names. Like, he's a black cat and his name is Binks. And it was between Binks and Salem. So, like, your girl's not original. It's fine. But Chris came to me and he said, let's call it mouse droppings. Absolutely not. He thought that was the funniest thing he'd ever said. And I said, no one's going to listen to a podcast called Mouse Droppings. So thankfully, I was able to veto that. And I honestly don't know how he came up with Let's Just Go, but it was Chris's idea to call the podcast Let's Just Go. It's a great name. If you're watching this, I even have it behind me on a little marquee. It says Let's Just Go. And it's honestly just like a really great sort of like mantra to live by. And now we're 100 episodes in, and it feels surreal if I'm being honest with you. Our first episode, though, it was December 18th, 2023. It is now, by the time this episode comes out, it will be April of 2026. So we were consistently posting once a week. Then Chris took a step back, and then I took a pause, and now I've been back, and I'm really getting back into how much I love this podcast. But let's talk about specifics about why the podcast started, because otherwise I'm just going to sit here and be like, it's so great. I love talking to myself every week. Because that is true. I do. Your girl's a Leo. I love to talk, and I'm an only child, which means talking to myself, I'm just fine at. But anyways, so the reason that Chris and I decided that we wanted to start a podcast is because we were always talking about the trips we were going on or the things that we were planning, and the fact that we wished that there were resources that existed for travelers, and we wanted to sort of be that resource. Whether or not you book with us, if you do, that's great. If you don't, we get it. But we wanted to make sure that this podcast was fun, which I think it is, but also that it was something that we could send people to, or people could discover and learn something. Because at the end of the day, travel is really stressful, and we're professionals, and I wanted to have a place that I could come and be that professional in a not too scary sort of way. Like, this is not you and I having a conversation and you feeling pressure to book a trip with me. This is you listening to me and hopefully not hating my voice or the way I look if you're watching this. and saying, okay, this is information that I didn't have before that I have now, and this is really great. And that's really the main reason that we started this. We wanted to have a place where we could talk about trips that we went on. And that was a lot of fun because Chris and I both travel a lot, and it was really fun at the beginning to sort of be like, okay, Chris, where'd you just go? Okay, Kayla, where did you just go? Or sometimes we would go places together and then talk about it when we got back. And it was really fun, and we really enjoyed it. And it really was just a way for us to make travel feel less overwhelming for people. And I will say a few episodes in, I was like, oh my gosh, we're really doing this. Like, we're creating these podcasts, we're posting them, people are actually listening to them and downloading them. And Chris and I have great banter, and that's great. And it was really fun. I will say podcasting is not easy. Like, yes, I sit here and I talk to a camera and I have my notes and I get to talk about things that I feel really passionately about. But there's also a lot of stuff that happens on the backside. Like, sometimes I have to repeat myself 12 times. And my wonderful boyfriend, Brian, edits every episode. He puts together transcripts. He's doing it all. And I really appreciate the fact that he's helping me with that. And then I create social media posts. Like, it's a lot. There's a lot going on. But it really is something that I feel good about because of the fact that I know people are getting something out of this, and that's what I want. Anyways, so let's talk about some of my favorite things along the way. We did a preview of Epic Universe before the park opened to the general public, and that was so fun, and we made so much content about it. We did an episode of every land. We did an episode about the food that we ate. We stayed at Helios Grand, the hotel that's attached to the park. We really went all in on having as immersive an experience as possible to be able to give information to people as quickly as we could. And I really enjoyed doing that. I felt like I was making a difference, which is my favorite thing in the world. And that felt really great. And then we've also done a few different deep dives into resorts. So we've done all of the Walt Disney World resorts. We've done the Disneyland hotels and then some Good Neighbor hotels as well. And I was actually looking today at metrics, and the most watched episodes are the Good Neighbor hotels at Disneyland, which I will actually be there in a few weeks, and I will have a couple more hotels to share. So I'm really excited about that. And the deep dives are just really fun. I really enjoy doing them because I get to sort of go off about the things I like and don't like about a place or a destination, a theme park, a hotel, whatever it may be. And if there's one thing about me, it's that I love to give my opinion on things. And so that's another reason that this podcast has been great, because here I am getting to tell nobody and also everybody what I think about things. Chris and I were doing this from December 2023 until September of 2025. And then he and I had a conversation, and he was like, I've just got too much going on. Because for those of you who don't know, Chris actually owns the travel agency that I work for. He and I are friends. That's why we started all of this. That's why I joined his travel agency. We've been in this together for a long time, and he's too busy. He's booked and busy, and I respect that. And he said, I don't think that I can really dedicate the time that is needed to the podcast. And I said, that's fine. I totally get it. He was the co-founder of this. He was the one that helped bring this to fruition, and he's still a close friend of mine. I still talk to him on a regular basis, and I was sad to see him go, but I'll be honest with you, this solo format is a lot easier, in my opinion. There's no more coordinating schedules with one of the busiest men I've ever met in my life. There's no more talking over each other and having to figure out how to pace that. And it just makes editing a lot easier for Brian. So you're welcome, Brian. Because he's not having to deal with Chris and I being different volumes and talking over each other and all of that. So it was something that I thought was going to be awkward, going from having this banter back and forth with a close friend of mine to being by myself. But again, only child and a Leo. I'm good at this. Don't worry. I can talk to myself about myself all day long. But honestly, okay, so the whole reason that this podcast still exists is because I recognize how overwhelming travel is. I love helping people, and I really just want to make travel planning easier for people. Whether that is that you come to me and say, "Hey, I want to book a trip," or you say, "Hey, I actually learned something really interesting about this destination and I decided maybe it's not the right fit for me." Whatever that may be, that's why this podcast exists. It's a resource. It's a window into what it looks like to work with me. It gives you a feel of who I am as a person because I'm not for everybody and I know that, and that's okay. And if I'm not for you, I respect that. And that's what I love about having this platform and being able to have this podcast is that I get to talk about things authentically. And, this is the 100th episode, which again is just like mind boggling to me. I'm not the kind of person that sticks to something for that long. So 100 episodes is a lot. But this is not a finish line. This isn't the end. This is just me reflecting on these first 100 episodes and letting you know that I would love to hear, what things you want to hear in the next 100 episodes. I have really loved having this podcast. I've loved being a travel advisor. I've been a travel advisor for almost a decade. So it's really great to have this place to sort of bring my expertise to people. And, if you've been listening for a while, thank you so much. I really mean it. And if you're new here, there's 99 other episodes that you should check out. I've got some playlists for different episodes, depending on where you're watching or listening. I've done some deep dives, all of that. If you're wanting to plan a trip, let me know. I'm happy to help. That's what I'm here for at the end of the day. And until next time, let's just go.